I'm Kyle Loftus, owner of 1320 Video. Typical day in the life of Kyle Loftus. Everyone probably thinks this is like the coolest job in the world all the time. It's pretty much full-time race car stuff. I had no idea it would grow to this size. Started this about 16 years ago or so. We're from Omaha, Nebraska. Came up here to the racetrack to check out for the first time. The crew came here last year and loved it, so we came back. I started 1320 Video just as a hobby. I was in college. Me and a friend had started filming street racing around town, and our friends really enjoyed the videos, so they kept pushing me to do more. Kept upgrading my equipment. Social media kept growing and just kind of turned into a business on accident. 2003 is when I started 1320 Video, and it was just kind of just for fun for a few years, and then it just blew up. Like, viral videos became a thing, and the rest is history. When I first started filming, I think it was about 3 years into college with a management and information systems degree. I knew I liked computers, and I didn't like computer science because there's too much math, so I went into MIS. At the end of my school, I was just starting to film just for fun. I was obsessed with car audio competitions, and I actually kind of started taking pictures and video of that first. And the natural progression from car stereos is then into racing cars. That's what everyone was doing. And my dream job was to work at Stereo West in Omaha, and started at Best Buy when I was in high school as like a stepping stone. And then in like my second year in college, I started working at Stereo West, and I was just in heaven. And one of the guys there took me to the street races, probably about 2002, 2003. And we didn't even see any street racing. We went to a parking lot with like 300 cars in it, right before the time Fast and the Furious came out. And the cops show up, the helicopter comes, there's like 8 cruisers that pull in. I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. I hadn't even seen any racing yet. And then the next weekend we actually got to see some street racing, and I couldn't get enough of it. I'd say 1320 Video today is, we're the largest street car video company in the world. And we go out there and trying to find the weirdest, craziest stuff we can to show to our audience worldwide. 9 million fans, by the way.
Yeah, that's great.
I've got 9 people working for me. I've got 3 video editors, 3 people doing merchandise, 1 shipping, 1 managing it, and then another person helping on the road selling. And then we've got 2 videographers and a photographer, and then myself. It's pretty funny how often we get the question, what does 1320 stand for? My friend, we had a contest back in like 2006 to rename my company, because it was originally called Heidi Ho Productions. That was my nickname from South Park, Kyle, you know,
yeah.
And Kyle and Mr. Hanky and the Christmas Pooh. That from Stereo West where I worked at, someone nicknamed me Heidi Ho. And so it was Heidi Ho Productions for the first year or so, and I'm like, okay, my logo is a piece of poop, and it's trademarked, so we gotta change this. So I had this contest on our local message board, street racing message board, to rename the company, and this guy came up with 1320 Video. I'm like, why 13? I didn't know, because I had just started it was just street racing at the time, and I had gone to a few track events, but he's like, well, it's the amount of feet in a quarter mile. And we just recently made a meme like a year ago. It was like this guy with a shocked face in the middle of a crowd, and it said, when you realize that 1320 is the amount of feet in a quarter mile, and that's like one of our top memes because so many people didn't know it. No, I had no idea it would grow to this size. Back probably about 2014 or 15, I was just addicted to growing our social media numbers. Actually, it's probably earlier than that. Right around like 2010, 2011, I was just focused to see how many Facebook followers we get, how many Instagram followers. I would sit at PayPal, where I worked for 10 years, because I did that while I was going on these events. I was lucky enough to be able to take the time off. I'd work in the car on phone calls with like Enterprise 500 companies, helping them set up PayPal on their website on the way to a race in the passenger seat. So I was lucky to do that. But it became a hobby to see how viral I could make posts, because I had grown an audience and it was just fun to do. So I'd sit at work, I'd be working, I'd be making memes, and I was able to do both at the same time. And we got to a point where it was like, we were just about to hit 100,000 followers on Facebook. We were actually on Hot Rod Drag Week, which happened this week, ironically. And I was in the tower at Bowling Green, and I kept refreshing. There's the only place I had internet on the property. I kept refreshing. It was like 99,500, 600, you know. It was just a few more, and it hit 100,000. And the next day was like 105,000. and at the end of the week it was 140, and I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
And then a few months later we hit like 500,000, and then within a year we were at 1 million. I'm like, whoa. And that just opened up so many opportunities. Like social media has just really blown things up, and it's exciting. I mean, it's cool what the internet can do to build businesses. And we've also helped other people build businesses around that too, which I love. So from when I started it to now, there's definitely been a lot of lessons. The biggest thing is I'm trying to keep things fun and enjoyable, because I didn't do this for a business, for making money. It just happened. And as the demand was there, I'd find more friends to help out with selling our merchandise, filming more angles, filming other races while I'm at another race. And it's just become this machine, and it's easy to let it run you rather than you run it. So that's been the challenge, is hiring enough employees but not too many, where it's just I'm sitting at home doing taxes and HR and hiring and firing and all this stuff. It's not fun. I just want to go hang out with my friends at the racetrack. That's all I want to do. I'm not in this for the business, but it has to be a business to keep running. So that's the biggest lesson. It's not like a typical business where you have these big goals monthly, quarterly, annually. It's just keep it fun, keep the business growing. But most importantly, I'm addicted to getting our videos out to the most people as we can. It's so painful when I'm so passionate about a story or a car, and it gets like 50,000 views, when some of our videos that are just silly, not that exciting, get like 3 million. So the biggest goal for me is just do more with less. Like, we're working really hard, and sometimes it doesn't pay off, and I want to find that magic formula. Like vlogging, Cletus, for example, who's worked with us for years, he's got this formula down. I want to find that for what we do. That's my biggest goal, is just make everything feel like it's more worth it. Because we come out to the track and shoot for 50 hours and go back home and some of the videos don't perform well. That's my biggest drive, is just making that work. But I don't really know what the next step is until I see that light. We choose what events we go to just off of what we like. Whether it's some of our partners, like our sponsors, are like this event and we want to go check it out or support them, or just what we're passionate about. We very rarely go to an event that we aren't passionate about, where it's just like, we want to go check out these cars, we want to go see this event for the first time. It's all about just what we enjoy. That's what I love about it. Like, a lot of businesses, you do it for the money. This business we do it for the fun, and it just so happens to make money and keep us going. It's easy to remember cars most recent. One of my all-time favorites is Parrish's blue regular cab turbo pickup. That was the first vehicle that I made viral videos with, and it was like a perfect pairing, because we kind of made each other famous. His truck was just like one of the first turbo pickups in the world, and he was making his own videos. I had a following already, so we kind of worked together and both became viral at the same time. But a couple of my two favorites all times is, in England I filmed a all-wheel drive LS powered Camaro, like a 68 Camaro, and it ran 7s. And then the twin engine Volkswagen from Colorado, and he just broke into the 8s. Just two very unique cars. I like the weird stuff.
Yeah.
I like to go find the weirdest, craziest stories, cars, whatever. That's what keeps me going. There's a lot of crazy things that have happened, but there's two that come to mind. One, probably the worst, is we were TX2 K14 on the streets. That's what it's known for, street racing. I was in a Supra, it was like 1,400 horsepower, and we ran this Corvette 4 times in a row, and it was just so close we kept racing each other. And the 5th time, 100 miles an hour just went straight left into the wall on the toll road. And luckily it was one of those Jersey barriers that like ramps up, so we just kind of went up it. But every once in a while my shin still aches from that, because the dash just like caved in on us. That was, and then the second one, I was in Australia. We haven't released either of these videos. The wreck's on a DVD. The other one I haven't released yet, but we were roll racing at an airport runway, and the car caught on fire about 150 miles an hour. And we didn't know it until we stopped, and it just, we jumped out, and luckily we were both safe. my favorite moment is probably the same road that I wrecked on at 100 miles an hour. Was Matt and I were filming street racing in Texas, TX2K 16 probably. He hopped in a GTR that was probably about 16 or 1700 horsepower. I hopped into a twin turbo Lambo underground racing car about the same. And we had one bad race, another bad race, and then it was perfect. The GTR jumped out, the Lambo jumped out. We were side by side at 225 and like coming pretty close to each other too. It was just like so exciting. Some of my favorite moments are just when I realize how cool a car is. Like I'll film it for the first time or I'll film it all day and I'll be like, wait, what? Like the Volkswagen, the twin engine Volkswagen. There was a moment in Texas, there was a car called the Dirty Bird. I've only seen it once, I've only seen it run once, but it came up as this ratty looking car and he did a burnout. I was actually leaving the track. I turned around to film it and he ran the fastest pass of anybody all day and he only made one pass. I went and found him in the pits. He pulled the front clip off and he had like a big block with twin 90mm turbos or whatever. And it was just like a total sleeper and it blew my mind and it had like 3 million, 4 million views on it.
Crazy.
When we were in Mexico, 2012 or 13, it's on our YouTube channel. I was in a Cobra and we saw cops coming behind us, in front of us. We took the on-ramp off of the highway backwards and then ducked underneath the overpass to hide from the cops. That was a good one. But early in my filming career, like first couple of years, we street raced past two cops going this way. We got spotlighted. We ducked off into like a business district, hid from them there. We could see them going back and forth for like an hour. Finally, we pull out and we see cops going this way, cops going that way. We drove like a mile or two, saw more cops. We hid in a trailer park for another 30 minutes and then somehow got home without any issues. The side-by-side race with me and Matt, as far as I know, that's the fastest we've gone. It was 227 is what the guy said his logs were at. No, actually it was like 220 something also in the half mile in Colorado with Lucas English, the ETS English Racing GTR. They don't allow passengers anymore past 185. I was pretty lucky to do that. But he's like, I think that was like 190. When we get back, it was like 229 or 220, I don't know, whatever. It was wild. That was back when I had a passenger seat and wasn't running sixes. Driving, I did 187, I think it was, in the half mile on the Unicorn. On the street, I've done like 185 in the ZR1. Just like racing someone way too long. That was a lot longer than a half mile. Typical day in the life of Kyle Loftus. Everyone probably thinks this is like the coolest job in the world all the time. When you see me filming at the racetrack, this isn't really the work for me. This is the fun part. I go home and then I have to like do taxes or file employment paperwork or whatever it is. That part sucks. So I'm working 40 hours a week at home and then we're working 12-hour days at the racetrack. So it's pretty much full-time race car stuff, whether it's paperwork or whatever. But when we come to the racetrack, it's early mornings, get up, go talk to drivers before racing, film all day, sometimes till 1 in the morning. And then at TX2K, it's not done then. Like we'll film till about 10 p.m. We'll maybe take a 30-minute nap, go film on the street for 6 hours, get 2 hours of sleep and do it all over again 4 days in a row. It's fun, it keeps us going. So obviously I love Corvettes. And I've got my personal favorite car that I own is my ZR1, it's 2010 ZR1. Just got it to where I want it. It's about 800 wheel horsepower right now, and it's perfect. Still streetable, still fun to cruise, still be able to race it, be super fast. One of the quicker cars in Omaha that cruises around the streets. And then there's, of course, the C5, the Unicorn C5. And I always wanted that color white, Speedway white Z06, and so when I found one, which is really hard to find, there's actually one on the property here today, but when I found that, I had to buy it. So I was actually saving up money to build a V10 twin turbo car like an R8 or a Lambo. That's what I really wanted, but that is a lot of money to pour into a car. So I found this car and I was like, this is gonna be a lot cheaper and probably more my style. So I decided to do the Unicorn project, and it's been a blast. It's been a headache too. It's really hard to keep a car like that running, and when you're doing a video series on it, it's even more stressful because like I'll fly to Australia, come back, check on the car. Chad works on it because I don't work on cars. I don't have time for it. I hate working on cars, but the Shop Inc. works on the car for me. And when something goes wrong, then it's like it sits there for 2 months or whatever. So it's not here right now because it's getting a new clutch, and that's like a day and a half job, and Chad has a business to run, so I can't always be like, work on my car now.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. It's a blast to drive, but it's also a little scary too, and driving over 1,000 horsepower, stick shift, things get a little crazy. But I can't get enough of that car. I love it. I don't get to drive my cars very often. Like, I'll come home and I'm just exhausted, and I'll get rested, maybe take the ZR1 out for a cruise, go get some groceries or whatever. It's my grocery getter. It's got tons of room, but I don't drive them as much as I want to. And I love taking them to events, but then I have to worry about being able to film, make sure our merchandising is doing well, making sure everything's operating well, managing filming, and run my car. So I've got a good crew now that I can do that, but they all have to be here. This weekend, I'm flying solo, so I thought about bringing my ZR1 up here, but at the same time, it's just me filming. And I literally leave for Europe in 2 days for a vacation with my dad, and so I'm like, I just don't want to deal with trailers breaking down or race car problems.
I've seen everything.
What drives me to keep making videos is just the unknown, like the events that we don't know about, the cars that we don't know about, the stories we haven't heard. It's endless. There's so many of them out there. We've traveled a lot in the Midwest, a little bit in the South, like Florida, Georgia, a little bit in California, but there's a lot of states, a lot of races that we haven't seen, and especially the world. That's what's really interesting to me, is we've been to Australia, Brazil, Qatar, Dubai, a few other countries, Sweden, but there's so many other places to go check out. And it's not the fastest, it's not the highest horsepower cars, it's the weirdest, the craziest stories. That's what keeps me going, and there's just so much more out there. We just gotta go find it. The first time I realized that people were gonna start recognizing me, actually, I didn't put my face on video for probably 8 or 9 years, and so no one knew who I was necessarily, unless they saw me out on the streets. But I've got a pretty unique laugh, and I was in St. Louis, and I was filming up in the grandstands, and I laughed, and some guy like in front of me didn't even know I was filming. He's like, is that Kyle? Is that Kyle from 1320 Video? And I'm like, this is weird. And now, like, if I go to a racetrack for the first time or a country for the first time, like when I went to Australia 4 years ago for the first time, literally 75% of the people there knew my name on the other side of the world I've never met before, and it was just weird. And it's fun. I love it. Like, it keeps me going, hearing people say that they love my videos. They built a car because of our videos. You know, they've gotten through tough times because of our videos, you know, staying in the hospital, watching stuff on YouTube. I love hearing that stuff. It really, that's what motivates me, is just knowing the fans and how they enjoy it. Because I don't know, it's this weird addiction. I've got like a photo bug, video bug, I guess. And I don't know, it just keeps me going.